go check out this book. This book right here, it's really good. It's gonna tell you everything about your culture, about the people, about the history. Um, it will tell you exactly if what you're telling is the truth. And the more I read this book, it's called The History of Fiji. That's why it says beautiful internet. When you got LibriVox and you got all the books about Fiji and everything, it will tell you about the people. Yes, the Fijian, how you guys came about. And right here, I found some very interesting stuff. If you're really into history and all that sort of stuff, um, see how they talk about a bird over a bird and went through several ways. See, this is amazing. That's why I say to all Polynesians out there, do not believe the out of Taiwan theory. The more you read books, the more you realize that the way Polynesians found all the islands was usually through birds. Okay, birds are very important, and you'll find that the birds that I'm talking about, the ones that come from Alaska into the Americas, those are the birds. But you'll find here some really interesting stuff that I found out. For one, like in the footnotes, I've highlighted it, said they had, like Fijians, this is the Fijian, they had a tradition of high chieftainship, which is not Melanesian. See, we Polynesians gave you Fijians the high idea of chieftainship, and founded the ruling families of Fiji. They were accepted by the Melanesians of Fiji as ruling chiefs. There were no tradition of wars and conquest, and it's unlikely that the Melanesians would have received other Melanesians in this way without a struggle. So straight over here you can see the influence of Polynesia onto the people of Melanesia, the people that sadly that you guys worship. Now let's carry on over here. Things that are highlighted in this book that I found really, really interesting. They paid you difference of chiefs for whom they reserved the chiefly language. This is the same as Samoa. We've got two types of languages. There's a high caste Samoan language that Samoans talk about, and there's just the ordinary one. In contrast with the Melanesians, the Polynesians gave a relatively high place to women, who might even hold chiefly type office. The material culture was far superior to that of the Melanesians. Again, this is why I keep trying to tell Melanesians in that we are not the same people. We do not even have the same culture. But of the art of pottery, they do nothing. See, for clay was not to be found in the coral sand or recent volcanic soils of the islands they inhabited. So they're just trying to say that they did not know pottery, like how we did. The bow and arrow were known to them, but were never used for war. Okay, let's carry on. Samoans and Tongans went into, founded a lot of northeastern Melanesian islands and gave them their tongue, not the other way around. Okay, and are physically unlike their Melanesian neighbors. These communities were regarded as isolated colonies left by the main stream of migrants, as pools are left by the ebbing tide. It was even asserted that Polynesians were in eastern Fiji for a long time in a large number, and that Fiji played an important part in the settlements of the Pacific. Yeah. Recent investigators, however, favor a more northerly route, claiming that the migrants followed a small island of southern Micronesia and Carolines and Gilberts. So, right over here, you can see it's nothing in here shows Fijians or Melanesians trying to rule or try to take rule of Samoa. You find nothing like that. There's nothing in here. It's more like my ancestors ruling over Fijians. Okay? If you keep going on, here's another one I highlighted right over here. The present population of Fiji, especially that of the large island in the western part of the group, is predominantly Melanesian. There you go. I keep trying people. Not all Melanesians are part Polynesians. That's the biggest lie in the world. Its Melanesian elements were not, however, homogeneous, and they had been further subjected to important Polynesian influences. Okay, there you go. The Oceanic people who remained in the upper logo were changed by centuries of contact and mixture with other people from the Asiatic mainland. Listen how they talk about Polynesians, okay, and how, listen to it. And the longer they remained, the more they changed. They became a tall, brown-skinned folk with straight hair, high cheekbones, shapely features and limbs. At the length of increasing pressure of new populations, notably the Mandans who invaded the archipelago during the Malay conquest of the 1st century AD, drove many of them to seek new homes in the Pacific. So right over here, they are trying to put the connection to Polynesia to the Arabs. And over here, they were, and this is how they talk about Melanesians, okay? So what they're trying to say is Australia, who were a pre-Dravidian stock, connected with the peoples of the Todas, Vedas, Sarangs, and Ateas, not related to the Oceanic people. The first to move east from Indonesia were the Papuans. They were woolly-haired, dark brown folk, short and even pygmy in stature, physically weak. Listen to how they talk about black people, with narrow heads and thin limbs. They remained in the primitive of the Pacific peoples gathering the New Guinea. They drove the Aboriginal people into the interior and settled the coast, probably what penetrated along the island's chain, now known as Melanesia. This is very interesting. So, how I'm seeing it is like, what this writer is trying to say is that there were Aborigines that lived within Melanesia, and somehow the Papuans or these Negritos or these niggers, I'm sorry for using the word, but it's just saying, they came in and they drew out the black people, and that's how they populated the Polynesia. And they're trying to say that they were very short people, and not known as Polynesia. It is even possible that they reached Fiji, but of that there's no evidence beyond dim indication that the Aboriginal people comparable to the Papuans had been absorbed by the tribes in the western coast of Viti, Levu, and in the hills districts in the interior. Fijian history, I can see how vast different it is from reading Polynesian history. And this idea, my conclusion about you Fijians who come on here and preach as though that you gave us our height and our build or whatever it is, it's not written in your history. It's not written in there. In fact, the way Europeans talked about you Melanesians, that right there, they saw you as woolly-haired, dark brown folk, short, and even pygmy in stature. Okay? It's not the other way around, my friend. So if you see tall Fijians, if you see very big Fijians like Jason Momoa and Sonny Bear Williams, that is because of the genes of Polynesians. It's as simple as that.